Front here in Ahmedabad as Gujarat prepares for polls in 2 days from now. We'll get you all the very latest, lots of young voices joining us here on this News Today special. But first, as always, it's time for the 9 headlines at 9. Campaigning ends for the first phase of the two-phase Gujarat election Mahabharat. The state will cast its first vote on Thursday. Political fireworks erupt over Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge comparing the Prime Minister to Ravan. Massive outrage over Kashmir files criticism by the IFFI jury. The movie is accused of spreading propaganda and being vulgar. Director Vivek Agnihotri hits back, says terror supporters and genocide deniers can never silence me. The movie has divided opinion. Amidst a big Centre versus Supreme Court face-off over a judge appointment to the top court, sources say the government has now sent back 20 names of judges proposed by the Collegium. There are question marks over the Collegium system. After the Gaddar Rao, Ashok Gehlot and Sachin Pilot appeared together in a show of unity, praised Rahul Gandhi's Bharat Jodo Yatra, which enters Rajasthan next week. Andhra Chief Minister Jagan Mohan Reddy's sister Y.S. Sharmila detained and arrested during her march to the Telangana Chief Minister's residence. This a day after her caravan was allegedly set ablaze by TRS workers. Supreme Court refuses to stay Maharashtra government decision to permit a metro car shed at RA, allows the Metro Mumbai Rail Corporation to seek the felling of trees. Air India and Vistara to merge by March 2024. Singapore Airlines to hold 25.1% stake in a combined entity. The new airline will be the second largest in the country after Indigo. Reserve Bank of India to launch retail testing of the digital rupee on Thursday. 8 banks to participate in a pilot project which will initially cover 4 cities. And Apple threatens Twitter with an App Store ban. Elon Musk says he will go to war with Apple. Musk's comments indicate it might stem from the Twitter's new moderation policy to safeguard free speech. But our top story comes today from where I am in Gujarat, because the fact is that the first phase of campaigning has ended for voting that will take place in Thursday across Saurashtra and South Gujarat. It's been a campaign which has seen the Prime Minister address dozens of rallies, and the BJP put all its muscle in a state that it has controlled for more than a quarter of a century. The Congress has also now got its fair share of controversy. Party President Mallikarjun Kharge has likened the Modi blitz to the manner in which Ravan chooses to go in state after state, projecting his face even in state and local elections. And there is the Aam Aadmi Party this time, with Arvind Kejriwal really making it a fight, in a triangular fight here in Gujarat. What's happened on the ground? In a moment, I'll be talking to young faces who've gathered around here at the Sabarmati riverfront to find out what they want from the Gujarat government of the future. But first, take a look at the top story.
Round 1 of a star-studded high-voltage campaign has concluded. The curtains are drawn, but not without each party trading barbs against the other.
हर जगह कितने हैं भाई, क्या आपके रावण के जैसा 100 मुख है, क्या है?
Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge has set off a political tornado in battleground Gujarat over his attacks on Prime Minister Modi. After accusing Prime Minister Modi of garnering votes by invoking sympathy for his poor background, now Kharge has called Modi a Ravan, and here's why.
हर वक्त अपनी ही बात करते हैं. आप किसी को मत देखो, मोदी को देखकर वोट दो. अब भाई तुम्हारे को तुम्हारी सूरत कितनी बार देखना? कॉर्पोरेशन में भी तुम्हारी सूरत देखना, एमएलए इलेक्शन भी तुम्हारी सूरत देखना, एमपी इलेक्शन में भी तुम्हारी सूरत देखना. हर जगह कितने हैं भाई, क्या आपके रावण के जैसा 100 मुख है, क्या है?
The BJP reacted sharply to the comment. and accusing the party of insulting the pride of Gujarat.
माननीय प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी को रावण कहा है और मुझे लगता है इससे बड़ी धृष्टता इस प्रकार के भाषा का प्रयोग, इस प्रकार का गाली गलोच अपने प्रधानमंत्री के लिए करना और वह भी गुजरात के सपूत के लिए ऐसे शब्दों का प्रयोग गुजरात में खड़े होकर करना, यह उचित नहीं है।
हम कहते रहे कि आतंक को टारगेट करो, लेकिन कांग्रेस की सरकार आतंक को नहीं, मोदी को टारगेट करने में लगी रही।
The sharp exchange of fire came even as the BJP wrapped up its campaign for the first phase with rallies across the state. The wild card in the fight for Gujarat is the Aam Aadmi Party. Aam Aadmi Party chief Arvind Kejriwal took on the BJP on Modi's home turf with mega roadshows. The Congress campaign, in contrast, has been muted. Bureau Report, India Today.
Now, the fact is that the BJP campaign has centered around Prime Minister Modi. There is very little talk, in fact, of Chief Minister Bhupendra Patel at all here in Gujarat. It is a very Modi-centric campaign, and it's a blitz by the BJP with ministers, MPs and chief ministers all landing in Gujarat. Why does Gujarat matter so much to the BJP is a question that is often asked. It's a question I asked the former law minister of the country, who's also here in Gujarat at the moment, Ravi Shankar Prasad. Listen in to what he had to say on the Modi factor. Joining us now is senior BJP leader Ravi Shankar Prasad. Appreciate your joining us, Mr. Prasad. Give us a sense of Gujarat. I see the full army of the BJP is here, ministers, MPs, chief ministers, and of course Mr. Modi and Mr. Shah. So it seems like almost you'll have come like an army into Gujarat.
What's the problem then? We do the same in all the states. But Rajdeep, always remember, Gujarat will remain special. Narendra Modi ji, as the chief minister, led the state to almost a great transformation. And I always say, as an ABV worker, I had come to Gujarat in Ahmedabad and saw Sabarmati like a nala. Now, Sabarmati riverfront can be compared to the best of the world.
You said Gujarat is special. Is it because the prime minister is from Gujarat that therefore there's an extra incentive in getting Gujarat the maximum numbers? Is this about Gujarat being special because it is the prime minister's state?
Obviously, but that is one part of it. The development of Gujarat. Go to Gift City. I stayed for a couple of days there. It is almost coming like a mini Singapore. Almost like a mini Hong Kong. The kind of transformation of infrastructure. As a former IT minister, I can tell you, Gujarat is emerging as a big hub of startups and all these things. So this whole transformation is truly extraordinary, apart from the conventional trading, manufacturing. And yes, Mr. Modi, as the leader of Gujarat, now is a leader of the country and globally recognized.
But there are two narratives that I see in Gujarat. One is the narrative that we see of development, of vikas, and the other is of polarization, of Hindu-Muslim, of that Congress is responsible for terrorism. When Congress was in power, there was curfew in Gujarat every month. How are there two narratives, sir?
Largely media hype too. But one thing is there, Gujarat being a border state, issue of security will be important. Gujarat being a sea-facing state, issue of security would be important. But let me ask a counter question to you. Is Gujarat a peaceful state or not today? Is it not a fact there used to be so many riots in Gujarat in the Congress regime, more than 100 years, so many riots? Let's forget that. Today, Gujarat development is inclusive. And people of Gujarat realize that. Don't you recognize the whole Vasuli from Bombay gangs is a thing of the past? In Baroda, in Surat. Come on, we all know it is a fact.
But polarization is also a fact. Muslims are not fully empowered. They feel marginalized in Gujarat.
Well, that is your constant theme, Rajdeep. I hope you will not edit it, what I am saying. That is your constant theme. I have no problem with that. But the Muslims of Gujarat are also having great sense of involvement in development. And I can see, compare the growth and economic empowerment of Muslims in Gujarat with other parts of the country. But by the way, if they will be maintaining a softness on terrorism, which they have been maintaining, then today Mr. Kharge had come, he has said, Sardar Patel hamare the. तो मैं राजदीप बाबू आपसे एक सवाल पूछूं, अच्छी बात थी, वो मरे 1950 में, उनको मिला भारत रत्न 1991 में, 41 साल बाद, क्यों? वो देश के रत्न थे ना। और कौन थे प्राइम मिनिस्टर? नरसिंह राव। अगर कोई परिवार का होता प्राइम मिनिस्टर तो ये काम भी अटल बिहारी वाजपेयी को ही करना होता।
Final word. How many seats are you putting on?
That's the job of Rajdeep Sardesai and friends of the media. We are very sure the victory is going to be historic, unparalleled.
Thank you very much, Ravi Shankar Prasad ji.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Historic victory claims the BJP will be achieved in Gujarat. But I want to turn to a very interesting constituency. Almost 25% of the voters in this state are under the age of 30 and have never seen anything other than the BJP government here over the last 27 years. So I brought some first-time voters between the ages of 18 and 23, all very bright, joining me now here for the first time on TV, and I want them to introduce themselves.
My name is Ratin Bhatt.
Ratin Bhatt.
My name is Zunaira Zamindar.
Zunaira.
My name is Amol Sharma.
Amol Sharma.
My name is Alay Patwari.
My name is Jay Joshi.
I'm Aditya Bhatt.
Okay, so we've got your names and introductions done. Let me start with you, Ratin. What is the biggest issue for the young in Gujarat as you go into the polling booth for the first time in a Gujarat election?
Rajdeep, thank you. Firstly, thank you so much for having us here. We'll definitely want to like to use the platform on behalf of the entire team at CS. Would like to do a small vote appeal that all the young minds should go out there and vote. Talking about the issues, there's a very famous word this election in Gujarat that is called the winnability factor, where any party, when asked a question on why a particular candidate on a particular seat, they've quoted that we decide a candidate on the basis of the winnability factor, and that probably is one issue which I have with the political parties in general, not only one particular party but all parties, where the ability factor is not taken into consideration, and the winnability is something that they are looking at and not getting somebody. So today we feel a very, very strong need to have young minds, educated young minds coming into politics who are process driven, who are policy driven, so that there can be on ground development that can be driven over the next 10 to 15 years.
Are you saying, Ratin, that the best minds in Gujarat are not going into politics? Effectively, you're saying you're disappointed, disillusioned with the choices that you have.
The potential best minds, we probably have better and better alternatives, and we need to have way more youth representation in the state of Gujarat as of now.
What about you as a young woman? Do you want way more women representation? Where are the women in Gujarat? Very few women across parties.
As 19-year-old, I feel I don't have enough women political associations to look up to. In Gujarat, there have been a lot of men wherever you see, but you don't see women in Gujarat.
Yeah, that's right. I'm seeing even out of 6, you're the only woman. I had told Ratin to get more women. So women want a greater voice.
Definitely.
You want to see women have a greater voice. You had a woman chief minister in Anandiben Patel a few years ago, but she didn't last very long.
Exactly. But I hope to see better representation in the future. And apart from that, in the last 2 years, there have been more than 5,000 schools have been shut down in Gujarat due to many reasons, COVID being one of them. But I'm sure government is doing something about it, but it is very disheartening to see that...
Are you worried about the quality of education? You're a young man who's also worked with Teach for India. Is that a concern that you want to see better quality education as young people?
Of course, yes. And as youngsters, we do operate with hope. And we are hopeful that our central government, our state government will work on that. And they can. Gujarat is developed, is capable, and it can definitely achieve, it can secure our future, it can work on climate equity, it can work on education equity. Of course, they need to work on the policy aspect of it. When we talk about policy aspect, I'm particularly talking about inequity. For example, in NEP, there is
new education policy.
Yeah, very less focus on low-income private schools. So tier 1 private schools are capable. Government schools, government is taking care. What about low-income private schools? How will they implement whatever policy you are making?
Okay, so, interesting, because privatization is a big debate in Gujarat at the moment, the quality in a way of education. What about job opportunities? Are you, as a young person, what is the big issue for you as you're going into that election? Are you confident you'll get more job opportunities in Gujarat, or will you have to leave Gujarat to get better jobs?
Sir, it depends on the job. But if you talk about IT sector, probably you will go to Bangalore or Hyderabad or Mumbai or Delhi. But other sectors, you might say you will like to stay in Gujarat. But sir, at the end of the day, it's the Gujarati mindset that does not only looks about jobs. It's more about getting your own business, more about startups. And I feel like startups are growing in India. As you know, there are a lot of big billionaires that are from Gujarat. You have Gautam Adani, who's getting this. He's the second richest billionaire, right? Second richest person in the whole world right now. So Gujarat not only about jobs, but they will focus a lot on businesses, startups, how the government can help them in it. I feel there's a positive growth rate in it, but Gujaratis are someone who will always wish for more in terms of business.
Gujarat business is business. Yeah. Young man, what's the big issue for you as you go into a polling booth for the first time?
So whenever I go to a polling booth for the voting, the first thing I'll wish is that I choose the perfect candidate who will work in my constituency for next 5 years and not just come in the next 5 years for asking me votes. So one of the issue which I am facing in last couple of years is about reservations. I guess this is one of the topic which youth is having debates from last couple of years. So let's talk about the statistics part. So SCs is having around 15% of reservation, ST is having 7.5 reservation, EWS is having economical weaker section is having 10%, and the OBC is having 27%. So this sums up to 59.5%. That is nearly up to 60% of the reservation in government jobs. So I and many other people.
But why do you want a government job? Why don't you apply? You know, the fact is, recently in Gujarat, when for a few hundred jobs of talatis, the job was opened, lakhs of people, applied. Clearly, unemployment is an issue. But would the young, you want to be in a government job or a private sector job?
So even I'm skeptical about this thing. Either I want a private MNC job or a government job. But if you ask me what I want, in next 10 years, I want to be working in one of the company which is in India based.
And you don't want any reservations? You want
no, I don't want any kind of reservation.
You believe there should be no reservations at all? Young man, what's the big issue for you in this election?
So I think one of the major issues is how to navigate as to whom to vote, right? Because you see that there is a certain level of defection. There are MLAs leaving and joining new parties, right? And it's not only exclusive to the ruling party and Hardik Patel as such. In AIMIM also, the Bapu Nagar candidate switched to Congress. There are other multiple. So it is difficult for me to decide. So I would rather decide on the basis of the way the development has occurred. Also, replying to the question of private jobs, I believe that it is the mindset of our father and mother who have, carried on, have survived the generation of license Raj, who are somewhere down the line have this in mind that government jobs are the way to go. But I think the generation is understanding that private job and the privatization.
Are there enough jobs? The question is, are there enough jobs at the moment?
I am very much in touch with the demographic game of India. I understand the progress is going to be very gradual, right? So there are not enough jobs in terms of population, but I hope that every day there is a positive change, and that's the way I'm going to vote, to be honest.
Because, all the parties are asking for more and more jobs. I want to turn to a contentious issue for the young. Prohibition. Ratin, do you believe Gujarat should continue with prohibition or end prohibition? Honest answer.
Very honest answer, Rajdeep, in terms of if I look at a bigger picture, and, I agree with the fact that it is the land of the Gandhi, and, we've been bestowed out upon by all the principles of the Gandhi. But today, there's a very famous, the corporate culture, you see. I was speaking to one of our corporate friends, and, I was asking him, why don't we have these bigger companies, these IT companies coming and setting up in Gujarat? And one thing he said was, you don't have the alcohol culture in Gujarat. So, if that is probably one of the reasons why we are not getting those bigger corporate giants coming into the state, we all are aware, and let's not shy away from the fact that there are a lot of alcohol abuses that happen in the state. Alcohol is available unofficially, illegally. freely I wouldn't say, but it is available.
So,
It is illegal.
you think that
I
prohibition
feel
should be gradually removed?
gradually in a phased manner, in terms of making sure that there's those probable parts where we could probably take advantage of these corporate giants coming in and using that tax money to, develop the society. I still feel that can be done.
Anybody else has a different view? Yes, you have a different view to prohibition.
So I'll be very honest here. I think prohibition is something that should be extended to different states.
You think prohibition should be
yes,
extended?
Certainly.
Why?
Right now, our state has seen amazing women's safety. Right. If you stand here for a while, you'll see that women will still be walking along the riverfront because.
And you think that is linked to prohibition? You think
yes,
that if there is less alcohol?
There's a high rate of substance abuse and substance-induced rape cases in other states. And also, sir, a very simple note that I'll put is, I understand that people are drinking alcohol in their homes, but at least there's no one drinking alcohol on streets. You cannot see people having a bottle and just roaming around.
Right. Okay, that's a fair point, but are women safe? You feel safe as a young woman?
Comparatively, in Gujarat, I do feel safe. I've been born and brought up here, and I feel safer in Gujarat than any other state in India.
Okay, you feel safer. You're a young Muslim woman.
Yeah.
What about the Hindu-Muslim question? Do you feel that it's a question that is played up more in the media, or do you feel a sense of not getting equal opportunity?
Not really on the equal opportunities part, but in smaller cities, I'm living in Ahmedabad right now. I don't face the discrimination here that much, but little bits on tiny parts, it is there in smaller cities where I've been grown up. But from what was there in Gujarat, it is comparatively a much better place and much safer place for us to live in.
You feel safer today than you did. What about questions of paper leaks? The fact about the education system that is consistently spoken about. Do you want to see quality education in Gujarat? Is that a big thing for the future?
Of course, yes. We do want quality education, and I'm sure that we will reach there with proper stakeholder collaboration, which currently, as of now, is not happening to a great extent. We are not asking questions to the right stakeholders. We are not taking into consideration their needs. So that is something that the government should do.
Okay, the young want more questions to be asked to their stakeholders. I'm going to ask the young, who inspires you? Who is that one figure, individual who might inspire you, who you feel he or she is the leader who makes you feel proud perhaps to be a Gujarati and an Indian?
I guess there are two at the moment. One is Gautam Adani. You have to say, become the second richest person.
You're inspired by Gautam Adani?
Yeah, you have to be. Because he's the second richest person in the whole world.
Second or third, we can debate that.
A lot.
Okay.
Second or third.
Yes.
Debatable, but still third is not a bad thing. Right? And the second one is Narendra Modi. From a tea seller to a prime minister, the amount of challenges he might have faced, political thoughts of his is a different thing. But the journey in itself is an inspiration to any person. The amount of hard work, the amount of times he has to fail, but still went on to become the prime minister and still speaks against big countries. Like, if he has to debate against someone like United States, if there's a pressure.
So you feel proud of Narendra Modi. Okay, what about you? Who inspires you?
So let's go back to the history 50-60 years ago. I'll take the name of Sardar Patel. So he's the person जिन्होंने जितने भी princely states थे, he united all the princely states into the one nation. One nation, one India, and I'm proud of it. So taking that example, I want Hindu, Muslim, Jain, Dalit, any casteism. I want that unity in India, that unity in Gujarat, and that unity in Ahmedabad, and that I want.
Okay, young man, who inspires you?
I think the first name that comes to my mind is statesman of India. That is Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji. But then again, right now is...
We are in front of the Atal
exactly.
Bridge. So it's not a bad place to say Atal Bihari Vajpayee, yes.
And right now I'd say definitely Narendra Modi. Because the way, the grassroots popularity that he has, the way he has inspired young minds, the way he's carrying on entire nation head fast. And to be honest, I believe Narendra Modi ji is doing...
So, so when there is this talk of Hindu-Muslim divisions in Gujarat, how do you respond? I asked her, She said it is there to some extent. Yes.
I'd say it was an issue, and it is issue at some extent. But then again, my parents used to tell me the stories before 2002 and how there were curfews, how there were just continuous communal tension. And I'll be very honest, I don't think any of us have experienced it in real life.
So you're the pre-2002 generation. You're all born after 2002.
Yeah, we have Zunaira here. I have I play kabaddi, right? So I think majority of my team consists of players who are Muslims, right? So I have friends from all background, and I think the communal tension is no more maybe.
Okay, good to hear that. Okay, young man, who inspires you?
So Gujarat is land of Gandhi and Patel, both sides of yin and yang. So we need both. We need Ram, we need Krishna, we need Ram Krishna. So yeah, I look up to a person who will be a balance of both these qualities.
I'm glad you mentioned Gandhi. This is Gandhi's Gujarat also, the greatest Gujarati, whatever else one may say, yes.
Okay, like I earlier said that, I would want to see more women representation in the country. But not going into a political field, Sudha Murthy is someone who has always inspired me because she's never shied away from opening about her top thoughts or talking about them and working on them.
Okay, interesting choice. But Ratin, I'll give you a final word. Is there an inspirational figure for young Gujarat today?
I will say, there's a very famous saying which goes like, change is the only constant. And I think we need to start having a change in the mindset as to how do we look for an idol or an inspiration. For me, I would say, or for the state as such or for the country, any young mind who's probably, who's an informed voter and who's somebody who participates actively in the democracy of our country is the new inspiration of our country.
Okay, interestingly, before the show started, Ratin told me that there is drug abuse which is also a major concern for the young. Is that true?
As of now, if you see the young population, I've been working very closely with the young and we do see that happening.
Even in Gujarat, so substance abuse.
It is prevalent throughout the country, not going into the states per se, but the government per se needs to understand and, probably figure out from where is the, the substance coming in to those different states. And Aryan Khan case goes out and becomes a very big issue, but on the ground level, even the media does not end up covering it, which is why the young population also feels like, this is all right, and that probably also needs to be changed.
Let me very quickly, what's the best thing about being in Gujarat?
The best thing, I would probably say the food.
Best thing of being in Gujarat?
Very safe.
Best thing about being in Gujarat?
People.
Best thing about being in Gujarat?
Food.
People and infrastructure.
Food, people and infrastructure. Okay.
Family.
Yes. Okay, let's, on that note, you've heard all these voices coming in from different parts. Take a look though at today's ground report on Gujarat, because at the end of the day, that's what we've been focusing on as we travel across Gujarat. We're hearing different voices. Take a look at today's Gujarat ground report.
In 2017, a couple of months ahead of assembly polls, Gujarat was declared open defecation free. But 5 years later, the claim rings hollow. This is Lynch village, hardly 50 kilometers from the state capital Gandhinagar. Every morning, scores of people are seen making their way to the fields with water to relieve themselves. Sanjay, who lives in the village, maintains no toilet was built at their home. The 50-year-old says all 9 members in his house go outside to defecate.
हमें तो इधर कुछ नहीं है तो भाई खुले में जाइए ना हम इधर रहते हैं सारे खुले में जाते हैं आजू बाजू के बता सारा खुले में जाते हैं अमुक घर है ना वो उसके अंदर होगा शौचालय.
The women in Sanjay's house say that going out in the night is scary.
आप लोग खुले में जाते हैं रात को भी खुले में जाते हैं सरकार ने कुछ किया ही नहीं कि यहाँ बना दो. हाँ मैं भी नहीं सोचा ये बनाए सरपंच ने बोला ही नहीं.
सब खुले में ही जाते हैं यहाँ किसी ने शौचालय बनाया नहीं सब घरों में शौचालय है ही नहीं. रात में जाने में तो डर लगता है पर यहाँ सब रात में तो कोई होता नहीं है यहाँ बैठ जाते हैं.
Many people India Today spoke to claimed while a few houses did get toilets built, many others did not.
गांव में तो शौचालय का है, लेकिन हमारे इधर रहते इसमें नहीं होता है। ये मिला है ना गाड़ा, इसमें आधार कार्ड है, चुनकनी कार्ड है, सब है।
Baldev, who was earlier the Sarpanch of the village, claimed that mindset of the people was responsible for open defecation. However, he admitted enough toilets were not built during his tenure as Sarpanch.
जो ODF जाहिर करना था सरकार का, तो उसमें हमने 114 शौचालय बनाया था। अभी तो पेंडिंग 57 बनवाने का वो बात चल रही है। गांव में तो सभी गांव घर पे है, उसमें बाकी कोई नहीं है। वो दूर दूर से है, अलग अलग रहते हैं, इसलिए उसको बनाना पड़ता है। तो जो कॉन्ट्रैक्टर है उसको ज़्यादा दाम पड़ता है, इसलिए उसने नहीं बनाया।
The BJP-led Gujarat government had declared the state open defecation free or ODF back in 2017. But the reality on the ground is such that still every day hundreds of people in Lynch village itself go out in the open to relieve themselves, putting a big question mark on the state government's claim. With camera person Nikhil Sharma, Devankur Vadhavan in Mehsana, in Gujarat for India Today.
Okay, let's turn from there to our big controversy of the day, and it comes from the film Kashmir Files. Now, the fact that an Israeli filmmaker who was part of the international film jury in Goa earlier this week questioned the film and called it propaganda and disturbing has raised the hackles, not just of the filmmakers, but of the ruling BJP, which has backed the film. That's right. Vivek Agnihotri, the film's director, today hit back, saying that people were not willing to face the truth of what happened in Kashmir. The filmmaker, remember, has criticized the content and quality of the film. Either way, the Kashmir Files film has once again divided opinion. Take a look.
आम कश्मीरी हिंदुओं का कत्ले आम हो रहा है।
Vulgar, propaganda, inappropriate, unfit for a prestigious event. These words by the Israeli screenwriter Nadav Lapid on the Kashmir Files movie documenting the genocide of the Kashmiri Pandits. Lapid was invited as the chief of jury at the 53rd International Film Festival in Goa. He, however, went on the stage to single out and target one of the most successful films in India in 2022, The Kashmir Files.
We were, all of us, disturbed and shocked by the 15th film, by the movie Kashmir Files, that felt to us like a propaganda, vulgar movie, inappropriate for an artistic competitive section of such a prestigious film festival.
Kashmir has never been an integral part of India.
What followed was a massive outcry.
The truth has bothered certain people, and every time they get an opportunity, they come up with this bizarre thing. But I think what happened on the last day of the stage of International Film Festival is shameful on that behalf of that person.
दोस्तों, कल इफी गोवा में वहाँ एक ज्यूरी के चेयरमैन ने बोला कि द कश्मीर फाइल्स एक प्रोपेगेंडा और वल्गर फिल्म है। मेरे लिए कोई नई बात नहीं है, क्योंकि इस तरह की बातें तो सारे टेररिस्ट ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस, अर्बन नक्सल्स और भारत के टुकड़े टुकड़े करने वाले लोग हमेशा से बोलते ही आए हैं। लेकिन मेरे लिए जो एक बहुत ही आश्चर्यजनक बात हुआ है कि भारत सरकार द्वारा आयोजित भारत सरकार के मंच पे कश्मीर को भारत से अलग करने वाले टेररिस्ट लोगों के नैरेटिव को सपोर्ट किया गया।
Israel's envoy to India shot a scathing letter at the filmmaker, who is a known sympathizer of the Palestine cause.
To enter to internal Indian discussion is something that we are not doing, definitely not us as a diplomat. He has the right to give his own opinion. I disagree with him completely. I told him that it was not a nice conversation. Let's call it like that.
While film actor Swara Bhaskar supported the attack on the Kashmir files, Uddhav Sena called the film a BJP propaganda tool, which led to increased killings of the Hindu Kashmiris.
प्रोपेगेंडा हुआ था एक पार्टी का और एक पार्टी के खिलाफ, उसके लिए फिल्म बनाई थी और एक पूरी पार्टी पूरी सरकार जहां जहां बीजेपी की सरकार है वो उस प्रचार में लगा, लेकिन ये सिनेमा आने के बाद कश्मीर में सबसे ज्यादा किलिंग्स हुई है।
Are Kashmiri Hindus caught in another vicious war over their plight and tragedy? Bureau Report, India Today.
To our other special focus tonight, the centre has returned 20 names of judges recommended by the Supreme Court, raising questions over a fresh standoff between the judiciary and the government. Remember, Law Minister Kiran Rijiju has been criticising the collegium system by which judges are appointed by fellow judges. Where will all this end? We're going to debate that in a moment, but first take a look at this report.
For years, the country has seen a tussle between the executive and judiciary for control over appointment of judges. Now, with the BJP government on the offensive, the confrontation is there for all to see. The centre has returned 20 recommendations made by the Supreme Court Collegium for appointment in various courts. Law Ministry sources say 11 of these files are of fresh names sent in the last few months. 9 are names that had earlier been sent back and have again been reiterated by the Collegium. Law Minister Kiran Rijiju had recently called the collegian system of appointments opaque and sought more say for the government in appointments. A Supreme Court bench on Monday lashed out, slamming the centre for sitting on appointments. 68 names recommended by the Collegium since 2019 have still not been cleared by the centre. This when there are more than 400 vacancies in high courts. The Supreme Court has 28 judges against a sanctioned strength of 34, with more judges to retire in coming months. The legal fraternity is divided.
The collegium system may have its own flaws, but as long as the judgment stands, which is the law of the land, they have to honor, and the sending back of the names, especially the ones which is reiterated, definitely invites a clear contempt notice. So I'm expecting that to happen on the next day.
So it should not be just a one-way traffic. Both the government and the collegium should pull up its socks and should work together with each other so that the vacancy position can be improved.
More than 400 vacancies in the High Courts and the Supreme Court, and a confrontation brewing between the centre and the Supreme Court over judges' appointments. After the Law Minister has made certain statements about the collegium, the Supreme Court also lashing out at the government for sitting on the recommendations. The country, however, is watching with bated breath to see when will this face-off be sorted out so that judges can be appointed and the cases pending for decades can be heard. In New Delhi, this is Anisha Mathur for India Today.
So let's raise the big questions. Is the centre undermining the Supreme Court by not going ahead with the recommendations made by the court? Is there a pick and choose approach to judges? Is the collegium system extra constitutional? Does it, in a way, ensure the judiciary's independence? Is it time for a new appointment mechanism? Joining me now, Justice A.K. Ganguly, formerly of the Supreme Court, and Siddharth Luthra, senior advocate who's also been Additional Solicitor General. Let's come to you, Justice Ganguly. Your view, do you believe that the collegium system has outlived its utility or is not effective as the Law Minister suggests? Or is the government trying to browbeat the judges into appointing those whom only the government wants?
You see, the collegium system was introduced as early as in 1993, reiterated in the presidential reference of 9 judges in 1998, and when that was sought to be replaced by NJSC Act by making an amendment of the Constitution, 99th Amendment, that was outlawed again by the Constitution made to the Supreme Court in 2016. So there are 3 judgments of Supreme Court And since 94 onwards, the judges are appointed both to the High Court and the Supreme Court on the basis of a collegium system. To question that now is to raise your voice against the law which has been declared. It is the law of the land. Under Article 141 of the Constitution, what the Supreme Court declares is the law of the land. And
but
the
laws
Supreme
can
Court has
change.
declared
But
it
laws can be amended. But
very
Justice
effortless-
Ganguly, laws can be amended.
No,
laws are not.
unless-
laws are not in
unless the
permanence.
law
Laws
is-
can be amended.
Yes, unless, listen, yes, unless it is amended, you have to follow it. You cannot disobey a law which is there, staring on your face, saying that it should be amended. That means, unless it is amended, you won't follow it. In the process, what are you doing? You are clogging the rule of law. Because people's right to go to court is being impeded because you are not appointing judges. This is a very, very unfortunate step taken by the government.
Can I bring in Siddharth Luthra there?
You may like the law, but that doesn't mean you will not follow it.
Siddharth Luthra, do you believe?
Yes.
Do you believe, Siddharth Luthra, a solution can be found, or is this now heading for a direct face-off between the judiciary and the government, given the fact that the government has just returned, we are told, 20 more judicial appointments?
So the norm was that the government could return the names once, but if the Supreme Court sent them back, reiterated the names, the government would accept it, and that was the norm that used to be followed. What happened was, when the NJAC judgment came, there was a second round which was in relation to the memorandum of procedure, which at that stage the bench thought it best to leave it to the government. Now what is happening is that the government has been using the memorandum of procedure, which is the procedural aspects, to defer and to oppose certain names. Now, of course, the government is entitled, in the context of adverse intelligence reports or adverse or such adverse findings or unsuitability, to come back to the Supreme Court and say, look, we don't agree with this candidate and these are the reasons. And then the Supreme Court has to see the material and determine whether the government's justification is right or wrong. But what has happened over the last few years, I must say, is not only are judicial appointments being opposed, objected to and not happening at the government's end, but there is also inordinate delay. We must remember, in a system of parliamentary democracy, there has to be a balance of power between the various institutions, and there has to be mutual respect for various institutions. The law minister may have a viewpoint that the collegium system needs replacement or needs change. That's his viewpoint. He's entitled as a constitutional authority to take that view. But till they bring in a new law, till they amend the law, that view of the law minister cannot be translated into a mass-scale opposition of appointment of judges. We have to understand the larger connotation. This is not about the law minister. This is also not just about the Supreme Court. This is about, Rajdeep, the common citizen's right to access of justice. Why are we working in a manner to try and impact the functioning of the judicial institution? Should it be a situation that by withholding appointments and delaying appointments, we ensure that citizens' access to justice is lost? That, with respect, I would say, is not good governance, is poor governance. And therefore, the intellectual debate between the executive and the judiciary, which is also going on in court.
Are you saying it's become an ego battle? Has it somewhere become an ego battle now? That the government of the day is saying...
I've lost you. Can you repeat?
Do you get a sense that... do you get a sense that this is an ego battle? That the government, in a sense, is trying to sort of show its muscle, that this is no longer about the law per se. It's become increasingly any name that, most names that come from the Supreme Court, we won't accept it unless you change the earlier collegium rules.
I think it's not about that. I think the government is possibly, and one should get the sense of that, is possibly planning and building a kind of momentum for bringing in a revised version of the NJAC, which they're entitled to do. There's no dispute on that. The law will come, it will be tested. it is possible that the government may be able to bring out a better system of appointment of judges than exists today. But till that law comes into force, can we have this lack of respect for the judicial institution? Can we have a situation where we are constantly trying to undermine each other, an institution? After all, we must remember, we, and including the government, not just citizens, have to go to the courts often to get justice. So therefore, I think it is time for the government to reconsider its view and perhaps realize that they're dealing with not just the respect for each other, institutions, but also depriving the citizen. And that's the most crucial lesson which I think needs to be remembered.
Justice Ganguly, what should the Supreme Court do in conclusion, if you can tell us? The Supreme Court, how far can it go in drawing a line with the government? Is there any way in which they can sort of send out a firmer message than they have so far? Or are we simply heading, as Siddharth Luthra says, to a situation where the government is building a mood for a revised collegium system?
No, the government can always come up with a revised system. I agree with Siddharth Luthra, and I also further agree with him that till such system is at place, the government has to follow the existing law because it affects the common man. And I disagree with you. It's not can't be a matter of ego where the constitutional functioning is at stake. It's a democracy. Common man has a right to approach court. You are stopping that. You are impeding that because there are not sufficient judges. So this is a very serious area of functioning.
So
here you may not like the law. I can understand. Well, you may not like the law. You may come up with an alternative system, but till that system is in place, is passed by Parliament and is okayed by court, you cannot just say I will not obey the existing law. I mean, I am very. Mr. Rijiju is asking questions about the validity of the collegium system. How can he do so as a? He has taken oath by the Constitution. He has to abide by the Constitution, and Constitution, this is a part of the constitutional mechanism. This collegium system of appointment in view of Article 141. And he is asking question under which provision collegium system is permitted. I mean, he should read the judgment. I mean, the Supreme Court has given maximum time to the executive. And reading the excerpts from the judgment, I find the Supreme Court is pleading and requesting the AG and the SG to resolve this impasse. And the matter is coming up in the first week of December.
So what you are saying is it's time that I hope that Mr. Kiran Rijiju is listening to the wise words of Siddharth Luthra and Justice Ganguly and listening to them and perhaps trying to find a way out rather than a confrontation. What is now required is conciliation. Can that be achieved? That's the big question. We'll continue to debate the role of the judiciary, of course, later on the news today in a special roundtable that we'll have soon. But for now, let's take a break on that point. When we return, we'll be giving you our good news today story. It comes from Kolkata. You're watching the news today. News without the noise.
भैया जी हमला। भैया जी 10 गोलियां ले ले।
गोलियां नहीं रज्जा, गोली।
पर बाहर तो 10 लोग हैं।
10 हो या पूरी बस, अब तो बस 1 है तो डन है। इसको कोई वॉच कराओ। जब वॉचो मिले ढेर सारे OTT ऐप्स एक ही प्लान में तो हर कोई बोलेगा वॉचो 1 है तो डन है।
वॉचो प्लान स्टार्टिंग एट जस्ट 42 रुपीज पर मंथ। आज ही सब्सक्राइब करें और पाएं सिलेक्ट प्लान पर 1 महीना कॉम्प्लीमेंट्री।
All political parties traveling from different parts.
Armed with facts.
Looking at
She takes the news by its horns.
Do you think the future of these students are not hampered?
Fierce, bold and direct, setting the tone for the biggest stories from every corner and every angle. Expect nothing but the unfiltered truth.
News first, niceties later. Watch me, Nabila Jamal, on India Today.
Welcome back. Let's turn to tonight's Get Real India story. Stories that get lost sometimes in the noise of news. Now, 1 week ago, Delhi's prestigious AIIMS hospital was hit by a massive cyber attack, as a result of which a lot of its servers were heavily compromised. 1 week later, there is still no solution in sight, and much of the hospital is now functioning on manual mode. As a result, several patients are struggling. Our Get Real India story today comes from AIIMS in the national capital.
Long queues outside the emergency ward. Hundreds waiting outside the outpatient department. These are the scenes at the prestigious All India Institute of Medical Sciences in Delhi, where a cyber attack on the 23rd of November compromised the servers of the hospital. A week later, patient services are yet to return to normal as the hospital functions now in manual mode. Parvez Ahmed is in tears. He says his child's treatment is delayed by days now.
डाउन से काम दिक्कत आ रही है कि कार्ड नहीं बन पा रहा है लोगों का, रिपोर्ट नहीं मिल पा रही है, जांच जो करवा उसका रिपोर्ट नहीं मिल पा रही है, लोग जो तरफ करके मर रहा है.
Amrendra has travelled from Bihar to AIIMS for his 5-year-old child's treatment for Hodgkin's lymphoma, a type of cancer.
कोई काम ही नहीं हो रहा है, सब ठप पड़ा है. जहाँ जो रिपोर्ट है सब ठप पड़ा है. बिना रिपोर्ट का डॉक्टर कैसे देखेगा? अब क्या होगा नहीं होगा, डेली का डेली पेशेंट लोग जो है तरफ करके मर रहा है.
उसको मुंह से दूध पिलाने का भी उपाय नहीं कर सकते ये लोग.
Dilip Kumar and his wife Rama Devi have come from Muzaffarpur in Bihar. They may have to return without getting the needed medical care for their grandchild.
हमको पास तो पैसा नहीं है. बच्चा जन्म लिया ना तो बच्चा ना दूध पीता है, चमकी आ गया तो रेफर किया एम्स में. एम्स में तो कुछ नहीं करता है, डॉक्टर बोलता है वहाँ जाओ हमको पास तो पैसा नहीं है.
AIIMS on Monday said measures are being taken to get the servers back on track. The National Investigation Agency has joined the probe into the cyber attack. Meanwhile, Delhi police have denied claims that hackers have demanded a ransom.
The government doesn't act immediately, we remain susceptible to such attacks, and each and every institute in our country can witness such attacks or even greater attacks in future, and the loss to our country can be immense. With camera person Ankit Shidungre for India Today.
Okay, let's turn to good news today. It comes from Kolkata. World Cup soccer fever is here, and then can Kolkata be far away from it? Now a quaint little store in Kolkata is bringing out kites that reflect the mood and the favorites of players and fans alike. Brazil and Argentina are dominating the kites that are now making their way through Kolkata's skies in World Cup season. Take a look.
Football fever is peaking. In Kolkata, it has reached the skies. This shop in the city is making kites on the theme of FIFA World Cup.
4 বছর অন্তর ফুটবল ওয়ার্ল্ড কাপ বা ক্রিকেট ওয়ার্ল্ড কাপ যখনই হয় আমরা ঘুড়ির উপরে করে থাকি। এগুলো পার্টিসিপেটিং বিভিন্ন কান্ট্রিজ যারা আছে তাদের ফ্ল্যাগস করি আর যে ওয়ার্ল্ড কাপের লোগো ম্যাসকট যে লোগো বা কাপ বা ম্যাসকট যেগুলো আছে এগুলো মোটামুটি 2 দিন সময় লাগে পার ঘুড়ি।
The best-selling kites are those based on the old favorites of Kolkata, Brazil and Argentina.
এগুলো ভালোই চাহিদা আছে বিশেষ করে যেগুলো নামকরা দেশ যেমন ব্রাজিল আর্জেন্টিনা পর্তুগাল জার্মানি এগুলোর ভালোই চাহিদা রয়েছে।
সবথেকে বেশি কোনগুলো বিক্রি?
ব্রাজিল আর্জেন্টিনা।
The kites take at least 2 days to make by hand. All the kites are not painted. Paper cuttings are also used in some products. Adhir, who runs India Kite, says events like World Cup boost their sales.
তবে নতুন প্রজন্মে যেহেতু একটু স্মার্টফোনের প্রতি তারা আগ্রহ তাই আমরা এই ঘুড়িটার মাধ্যমে এই দেশের ফ্ল্যাগস লোগো এগুলো তুলে ধরি যাতে নিউ প্রজন্মের প্রতি আরেকটু ইন্টারেস্ট গ্রো করা যায়।
The kite makers claim they are fans of Lionel Messi. They promise a special kite for the World Cup final if Argentina makes the cut. With Suryagni Roy, Bureau Report, India Today.
That's it on this News Today special here from the Sabarmati riverfront in Ahmedabad. Thanks for watching. Bye for now. Stay well, stay safe. Good night. Shubhratri. Jai Hind.
Modern world's clinical interrogation, the narco analysis examination, is one of the trusted methods used by investigators against a non-cooperative accused. But what is a narco test? It is a psychological test with scientific tools. Sodium pentothal IV drug is given to the suspect. The patient turns dissociated. The suspect is questioned in this sedated state. The uninhibited patient reveals the truth. This whole process is done under the supervision of a doctor. Narco analysis is like other scientific techniques like lie detector tests